Everybody could just mute or silence their cell phone so we don't get interrupted, like me. There we go. We'd appreciate it. Thank you for attending this afternoon's board meeting. We have 2 items on the agenda. And I think Mr. Velasquez would like to speak to the first one, and Mr. Vanderbilt would like to speak to the second one. But first we'll go to call to order, and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. And Mr. Vanderbilt, will you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Okay. Item B, action items. Item 1 is discussion possible action to approve the clarification of the new type 03 district local aid for common schools tax with qualifying rate of 1.6549 for the Santa Cruz Elementary School District number 28 residents during fiscal year 23-24. And I'll ask the county school superintendent and his team to the podium.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair.
Good afternoon.
Should we have a motion so we can have this under discussion?
I think we can discuss it, right, before.
Discuss it first? Bob, you're good? Okay, we got good legal advice. Alfredo, you're on.
I'm going to pass that on to Chris, but I want to thank Chris for taking on this this new law that went into effect this year. It was quite complicated. Even some of the counties had a very hard time dealing with it. He was diligent in making sure that we were on top of it. So I want to commend him for that, and also working with Little Red on this project. And the bottom line is to bring equity among our tuition for our high schools. So I'm going to pass it on to Chris so he can explain the Type 03 district tax rate.
Thank you very much, sir, and welcome to our meeting.
Good afternoon, Chair Bracker, Supervisor Moleta, Supervisor Ruiz. Thank you for calling this. I know for a fact that most counties are having their tax rate meeting today because today's the last day you can approve taxes. And one of the main reasons why they're having their tax rate meeting today is because of this right here. This is a statewide issue. It's a new law. The law is, just so we get it on record, where did I put it? ARS 15992 subsection F. Okay. This was passed last year, not this year, but it was passed last year, so it's too late to implement it into the funding scheme for the school districts. And the intent of the law was so that Type 3 school districts, which is a school district that does not have a high school, okay, so that these districts are treated fairly. What has happened across the state is these school districts, by law, are required to pay tuition to wherever their students who live in their district, when they go to a different high school, they're forced to pay tuition. The problem is each high school charges a different tuition. And so the intent of this law was so that everybody would pay the same amount of tuition, so that the Type 3 school districts, there'd be equity, like Superintendent Velasquez said, there'd be equity to paying tuition from a Type 3 school. Well, that was the intent, and then once the bill was finally passed, it kind of had a different look. Well, not kind of, it did have a different look than the original intent. And it came out, it's no longer a school district tax. It is a county tax, okay? So it's collected by the treasurer. It has a separate line item on the tax receipt, and the Department of Education will tell the treasurer's office how to distribute it. Before, the school district would receive the funding and they would distribute it to the high schools. Now the county is. So that's one change. The second change is it's no longer part of the tax rate formula for the school district. It's completely separate. And realistically, that's what created the problem. On August 1st, when we passed the tax rates, we passed the entirety of what this new tax rate should have been, which was over 4%. It was 4.0980% with a levy of $488,111 for the residents of Little Red. Well, if we were to charge them that, they would be way over their cap, okay? Little Red is capped for the tax rate they can have, so we can't charge them that. So, I mean, I've been on this for about 2 months. Most of the state's been on this for at least a month trying to figure out what to do. It's still not 100% clear, but last week, the Property Tax Oversight Commission voted to recommend to utilize the qualifying tax rate, which is 1.6549 for this situation, which means the residents of Little Red will not pay the tax rate of 4.0980. They will pay the tax rate of 1.6549. So when you combine their school tax rate, which is about 5.6, along with the 1.6549, then it comes out to about 7.2. Last year, their tax rate was 7.4. So realistically, due to all of this, the residents of Santa Cruz County Elementary School District number 28 will have a lower tax rate than last year. So that I just want to, so this meeting and all of this is just to make sure that we implement the 1.6549 to the residents of Little Red and not the 4.0980. That is a whole reason for this. I just want to make it very clear. Now, this is still an ongoing issue as far as where the rest of the funding is going to come from and some different things. But for right now, because today's the deadline, we just need to make sure that we don't overtax the Little Red residents.
Okay. Are there any questions for Mr. Young?
I have a bunch of them.
I'll get comfortable.
So you were saying that their tax rate was this, it's gonna be lowered by this.
0.2, approximately, right?
And you said that the taxpayers are gonna save money. So if the county is collecting the 2% or the 2 on the tax to make up the difference,
2.4.
well, will it be 2.4,
Right.
2.6? I mean,
Right. Well, so where that remainder comes from is still undecided from my understanding.
yeah, so it would be property tax, right? Or no?
No, I can say my opinion. That doesn't mean it's right. It should come from the state.
Well, we hope that the state will pay for it, but they're very famous for creating new things.
Right.
And guess what, county, you're on the hook for it, so.
That is a very good point to this issue.
Well, there used to be an equalization tax.
Right, and that was taken out last year, right. And they actually recommended to use that same exact fund this year because we no longer use that fund number.
So, well, they're still meeting, and I know that CSA has been attending the meetings, and they're even confused because even the committee didn't understand how this thing was gonna work, at least from my conversations with Vanessa.
Well, even the latest PTOC meeting was a week ago, and they approved the 1.6549, but nothing else has been approved. I mean, as far as understood. So
Assuming that the state does pick up the 2.6, it'll come directly as an appropriation to the treasurer. The treasurer
Right.
will then see who gets what, whether it's the Patagonia Union High School or Nogales High School.
well, there's another facet to this bundle of joy is the Department of Education is the one who's going to tell us how to distribute it. That is in the statute.
Well, that'll be fun. Better. So, anyway, okay.
And also, I just want to say it's very complex. So if anybody in the public has any questions, please, we're in the 1904 courthouse. Give me a call, whatever, and I'll try to explain it as much as possible. But the point is the Little Red tax rate is going to be a little bit lower than last year, and then us as the county and state have to figure it out.
Supervisor Malera, do you have any questions?
No, sir, but Chris, thank you for your clarification and your details to this issue.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'll go ahead and move that we approve as presented by Mr. Young.
Do I have a second?
Yes, second.
I will second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. Item 2 is discussion possible action to award bid contract number B-10-23-C060 to Marsh Development, Inc. for the Sonoyta Library renovation project in the amount of $435,501.
Move to approve.
I'll second. Is there anybody who would like to, anybody who would like to comment on this? Since we have a small meeting. Mr. Vanderbilt? Good afternoon, sir. You're making yourself very present here at the courthouse this week.
Thank you, Supervisor Brecker, Mr. Reese,
Good afternoon.
Mr. Moleta. Thank you. Thank you very much for bringing this project one step further. It was a dream that I believe commenced 3 or 4 years ago when the county did an audit of your real estate, and you found vacancies in some building and overcrowding in others, and you realized in Sonoyta when the court system closed, we had that extra room, and with the library and the sheriff's office. And this is now, we saw the opportunity of expanding the library and creating a community meeting room for the folks in Sonoyta and Elgin. This is a wonderful thing. Everybody on the library board and the library administration and the residents of Sonoyta, Elgin, East County are very, very grateful for your efforts to do this. I want to say that this alone is not the completion of the project, because we're still dealing with CenturyLink and their subsidiary, I believe it's called, Illum, to bring high-speed internet. We cannot leave our foot off the pedal until that project is completed also. We are very, very grateful for all that you have done. And I'm going to say one other thing in the postscript. One day we will cut the ribbon and we will have this expanded building in Sonoyta. And the next day I will begin a campaign to expand the library in Rierico. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vanderbilt.
Thanks for the warning.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Vanderbilt.
Thank you very much. Is there any other discussion? I'd like to thank the staff and the team that they put together to pull this together. It's been a complicated project, a lot of moving parts, and just thank everybody for their efforts, and Mr. Vanderbilt for also keeping it forefront in my mind.
Thank you, Mary. You're
Mary,
the one that's
thank you.
doing the heavy lifting.
Juan, thank you very much. Supervisor Malera, do you have anything to add?
No, I just want to thank staff for all their due diligence and hard work. This is a great project. Thank you.
Okay. And we have a motion, a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. Item C, adjournment.
Go ahead.
Did you move to adjourn?
Yes, sir.
Second.
Have a motion, a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.